Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into KNOW Waco. I am your host, Debbie, here to help you get in the know about Waco.
This week, I'm going to be talking about an upcoming exciting event happening this weekend, and I have some special guests in the studio. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Regina Wanger. I am a fourth-year PhD student at Baylor University in the History Department. I work in religion and education, and I have currently been working as a contributor to the Waco History app and website, researching and generating content.
And we have another guest.
Hi, I'm Ella Hadachik. I'm a master's student in history at Baylor, and I study 19th century religion and memory. And I worked for the Waco History app this summer and worked on the scavenger hunt that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, that's great. So, well, first, what brought you to Waco? Or are you guys Waco natives?
I came here for school for the PhD program in the fall of 2018 and have been there since. So I guess I'm starting my third year as a Wacoan.
Wow, that's great.
And then I moved here in 2020 to go to Baylor for grad school.
Oh, wow. So you're a fresh Wacoan.
I am, and I was here during all the COVID restrictions, so I've not seen as much of Waco as I would have liked, but this summer I've seen a lot more.
Do you guys claim yourselves as Wacoans now or not yet?
I'm not sure how long you have to be here to consider
That's
yourself
true.
a Wacoan.
You got to claim it. It's like a title. You have to accept it yourself.
I guess I did just call myself a Wacoan in my introduction, so I will say yes, I am a Wacoan.
I'm not quite there yet. I think it takes me like 5 years to claim a new location.
Yeah. Do you guys plan to stay here in Waco, or are you guys just here for school? What are you thinking?
So I'm here for school and then hopefully the PhD program after, so at least another 6 years.
That's great. So yes, you're going to be a Wacoan by the end of this.
Probably.
Well, I'm so glad you guys are here. You guys are here to talk about the scavenger hunt. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. The Waco History Scavenger Hunt is an outgrowth of the Waco History website and app, which is a joint venture between the Baylor Institute for Oral History and Baylor's Texas Collection. And it is all about finding and locating historical sites in Waco and McLennan County and encouraging folks to learn more about local history. And so the scavenger hunt is a way of getting the community involved in the work that we do on the website and doing some education in the process.
Yeah, that's great. And I saw that Waco is 165. Am I right?
Yep.
That's crazy. So I'm sure there are amazing landmarks and other things that you guys are going to feature. Are you guys allowed to tell me some of the stops or anything, or is that secret?
It is top secret.
Perfect. That's great.
People will have to find out by going
out
through our clues.
Oh, yeah. And I heard you guys are going to, so you download the app and there's like a QR system. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so we have QR code forms, and at each location there'll be a QR code to look at the Waco History app entry, and then a second QR code to pull up the form. And you submit their answers in there. And then once you've submitted your answers and pushed next, you see your clue. And then you're able to go to the next location.
Wow, that's great. And I heard you guys are also doing a little social media campaign. So using the hashtag Waco History Hunt. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah. Particularly on Instagram and Twitter.
That's really great. Do you guys want to tell me about some more information about the event?
So Ella alluded to this a little bit already, but we have several locations around downtown. That's about all I will tell you.
Great.
That participants will receive clues. We're starting from the Waco Farmers Market, so that's where you come and register and pick up things, and you will get your first clue. You have to decipher that clue to figure out where to go next. And once you get to wherever that site is, we have a little mission for you to do. So sometimes it's questions to answer. Sometimes it might be doing something a little goofy. It also means posting on social media. So this is also a big component, is increasing people's engagement with us on social media and with the app. And so we're excited to have folks do that.
Yeah, so if you post on your Instagram story on a public account and you tag us during the event, you're going to get entered for door prizes.
Yeah, I heard that there are like 3 categories. So there's historical insight, there's most creative, and then I believe there was one other one.
The grand prize.
Oh, the grand prize, of course.
Yes, the most points.
The most points, the fastest, right?
So no, the scavenger hunt this one is not about speed.
Oh, okay.
It's about taking your time and being creative and having good historical insight. So people can start anytime between 8:30 and 10. So we're letting you just take your time. It's probably going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but you just have time to explore and learn more about Waco and really put a lot of effort in and have fun versus trying to speed through everything.
Yeah, and I heard your stars are starting out at the farmer's market. Is that correct?
Yes. We'll have a booth there with the community booth.
Oh, that's so exciting. So people can start at the farmer's market on Saturday morning, come and see you guys and talk to you guys. Are you guys going to be giving some insight or anything special at the farmer's market?
So we're doing day of sign up there, and then come in, there'll be more instructions there to make sure people know what they're doing. We're going to have a tip sheet that we'll hand out to everyone when they register or come and check in.
We will also, I believe, have bookmarks available for
cute.
folks who aren't participating. That will have a little bit about Waco history, because we'll get a lot of foot traffic at the farmers market. And we want to be able to provide folks who aren't able to participate that day a little bit of information that they can hold on to about the Waco History app and where they can find us.
Yeah.
We're also going to have free Waco History stickers.
Oh my gosh, that's so great. So tell me a little bit more about Waco History and the organization.
So Waco History, it started about 6 years ago, and Dr. Stephen Sloan, who does the Waco History podcast
Right here from this studio.
He is a professor and the director of Baylor's Institute for Oral History. And I believe this was his brainchild, and it's all about identifying sites in the area that have historical significance. Some of them still exist. The Alico building is an excellent example.
Is that a hint?
It is not a
They
hint.
said no.
I knew what I was doing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
I see.
The Alico is chronologically out of the range. We're doing 19th century since it's about Waco's founding.
Interesting. That's really cool.
So places like that you can go to, and in some cases, these places or these people no longer exist. So we just have an address. So we have entries on people like Tom Wilson, the record producer from here from Waco.
Our studio is dedicated. This is the Tom Wilson Memorial Studio.
Exactly. So worked with Dylan and Simon and Garfunkel. We have
Velvet Underground.
Velvet Undergrounds. Mothers of Invention.
Yes.
So I worked, part of my job was to research and write an entry on him.
Oh, that's amazing.
And so all of our entries are about 650 to 850 words, and they also include oral histories and photographs. So when you go to an entry, say, on Ann Richards, because she is from Waco.
East Waco.
Yep. You can find an oral history. You can find her picture from the Baylor yearbook. And so it's a multimedia experience, and then each site is GPS located.
Oh,
so
that's so
you
cool.
can go to it. There may not be anything there now, but you can see, this is the place where Tom Wilson grew up.
Oh,
This is
wow.
where his family's house used to be, even though it's no longer there. In some cases, like the Alico, it's right there, and you can see it. But that's the thing. Some of these histories have been covered up by newer development. And so this helps people know what used to be there in some cases.
Yeah. And why do you think this is so significant for our community?
Every community has its stories. And there are a lot of stories here in the Waco community. And part of what we try to do is listen. That's what the oral history collection does, is collect memoirs that have to do with Waco and McLennan County and our history and other projects. But also it just shares those stories with a broader audience, or brings attention to stories that maybe some people have forgotten, because you can no longer see something physical there. And so I think it's learning from where we came from in a very kind of complicated and messy way sometimes. You know, some of the stories we tell are less than pleasant, or have less than pleasant aspects. But also some of them are really fantastic to hear some of the success stories that have come out of Waco.
Yeah. It's really great, especially with inspiring stories like, as you know, we mentioned Tom Wilson. We actually did a 10-part docuseries over him. I don't know if you guys have listened to that. It might have been great for your research.
Oh, no, I definitely listened to it in its entirety as part of my research. And in fact, I think our oral history clips come from your podcast.
That's great. Yeah, we love it. And we're so glad to learn about the history, especially here in Waco. One of the questions I normally ask is, what is something you would like to see more of in Waco? But I would like to have a historical aspect on that, if you guys want to talk about that.
Something historically I'd like to see more in Waco. I always want to see a greater variety of stories being told.
Okay.
We have some historic communities in Waco, Calados, Sandtown, that we have entries on. And it would be great to continue to hear more stories from those communities, more communities in East Waco, in addition to hearing stories about any number of historic businesses that are that existed in the area, O&H Rare Foods, other things like that. I'm all for collecting as many stories about the local community as possible.
And I think I'd like to see more women's stories collected in Waco history, because I'm actually working in the Texas collection right now, and there are some collections that haven't been gone through yet that are women in Waco. So I'd love to see their stories told going forward.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I do know that in East Waco, they just recently had that huge mural that was devoted to East Waco, and that has little pieces of history and little stories hidden within it. So I know that there's so much fun stuff to be seen in our city. And what is something that you guys want to do to help get that message out?
This event is definitely a start. We want to create events like this in the future. This is a bit of a dry run as we kind of work the kinks out and figure out how this is supposed to go. So I'm sure if we do events in the future, we will definitely tweak some things. But finding opportunities for people to engage with our content, engage with the stories that are here. I would like to see, and I think we have tried to do this in the past, but put up signs at all of our locations that we have QR codes, I think, is what we're looking into. Any site that we have an entry related to it. So people, it's a digital historical marker that you scan it with your phone, and you can see, oh, you know, this is where Artie Evans lived in East Waco, and he's this attorney, first African-American attorney in Waco in the 1920s, and was huge when it came to voting rights in the 1920s. And this is where he grew up. And so I think being able to identify for folks in the community if we have entries related to a particular site, and also more events like this that families and schools can participate in.
Yeah.
And if we get more people used to using the QR codes through the scavenger hunt and recognize the Waco History logo, they're more likely to scan those QR codes if they're going with their daily life and they see one. So then people can be more, it's immersive history.
Yeah. And with COVID permitting, what other types of events would you guys like to do?
I think we have several tours created already on the website. They haven't been set up in a way that's walkable yet. That's something that I would like to see. So we have a women's history tour if you're interested in.
I would love that.
Seeing all of our entries related to women's history. We have a foodways tour. So
okay, I love that.
Any sort of restaurants that we have entries on in the community, if you're wanting to know a history of food in the area. Religious spaces, synagogues, churches. We have another tour on that, African-American history. So those are just a sample of those tours. So I'd really like us to develop them in such a way that people could use them on the go. They're there, but they haven't been organized in a way that's super helpful for people to be able to pick up and just go those sites in a relatively logical order.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll also probably do another scavenger hunt.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
I would like to do another scavenger
Yeah, I
hunt.
think maybe we can include more 20th century locations in the next scavenger hunt.
That'd be interesting. That'd
Yeah.
be really cool. But yeah, I know that you guys have a lot going on. Do you want to give me all of your socials, your website, where you can find out more information about events you may be having or finding out more about what you guys are doing currently?
Yeah, so we have active social medias on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. On Facebook, we're at Waco History, and Twitter, we're at Waco History. And then on Instagram, it's at Waco History app. And then on there, you can go. We post every day pictures or stories about Waco history so people can get involved and more immersed in Waco history. And
Our app is free to download from whichever app store that you use. And our website is wacohistory.org. And it's the same content that is on the app, but in a format that fits your browser versus your phone.
Yeah, that's great. And I know we talked a lot about things to do in Waco and, people from Waco. I do normally have a shout out section. Is there anybody you want to shout out that's in their involvement with your organization?
So big shout out to Baylor Libraries,
Whoop,
both
whoop.
the Texas Collection and the Institute for Oral History that helped with marketing. Our very own history department, Dr. Julie DeGraffenried, our undergrad program director, who has done a lot of work to promote this. Dr. Bob Elder donated a signed copy of his book on Calhoun for one of our
wow.
prize baskets. And Emily Levitt, our administrative assistant, helped us with a lot of little details. We also have some businesses to thank that have donated prizes. The Dr. Pepper Museum, Reed's Flowers, Nightlight Donuts, Heritage Creamery, Lula Jane's, Waco Cha. So this is definitely not all of the businesses that we could thank, but we have really been impressed and overwhelmed in the most, wonderful way possible with the support that we have gotten from local businesses and also from the community for this event.
Yeah, and we're going to be actually donating a Tom Wilson limited edition shirt. So that'll be one of the other prizes. That'll be from, Rogan Media, us and the Waco Escape Rooms as a collective. So that's really awesome.
And we have to thank Dr. Stephen Sloan
Of
and then
course.
Diane Reyes and all the other staff at the Institute for Oral History for all their help and support and amazing ideas. It wouldn't have been possible without them.
Yeah, our colleagues, our graduate student colleagues in the history department in particular, and also the undergrad workers, they will be volunteering on site to help
Oh, wow.
people figure out stuff. So it's not like we're going to just drop you at the site and you have to figure it out. But we will actually have trained historians there that will help you contextualize a little bit more of what you're thinking. And so to our volunteers, particularly from our history department, who are our colleagues there, thank them for that.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming on and talking about this amazing community event. Is there anything else you guys wanted to share with us today?
I don't think I have anything.
Oh, I think we covered everything. We hope to see lots of people on this Saturday, starting at 8:30, but until 10.
All right. Perfect. Well, thank you guys for coming on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for tuning into this week's podcast. This is your host, Debbie, signing off. Now that you know, go. Just go, Waco.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.